You did everything right. You checked on them every day. You watered them carefully. You kept them somewhere warm, out of drafts, away from anything that could stress them. And then, slowly, quietly, they just stopped. Turned yellow, went limp, and you stood there wondering what went wrong. Here's the thing, almost no one tells you. The most common reason seedlings die isn't neglect, it's the opposite. It's care, aimed in the wrong direction, doing exactly the damage you were trying to prevent. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly what's happening underground before you see a single symptom above the soil. And you'll have a clear picture of everything else that can quietly take a tray of seedlings out, so none of it catches you off guard again. Before we get into the fix, you need to understand what's actually happening when you overwater, because it doesn't look like flooding, it looks like a seedling that's just fading. And that's what makes it so easy to get wrong. Overwatering is the silent killer of seedlings. Not because you drowned them, your pot has drainage holes, you're not filling it like a swimming pool. It's subtler than that, and a lot harder to see coming. Roots need two things to survive: moisture and oxygen. The soil around them needs air pockets, tiny gaps where oxygen can reach the root hairs and keep the cells alive. When you water too frequently, those gaps stay permanently full. The soil never quite dries out between sessions, and roots sitting in constantly wet soil don't just struggle to absorb nutrients, they suffocate. The cells break down, and once that starts, it doesn't reverse. The damage happens underground, invisibly, days before anything shows on the leaves. By the time a seedling goes limp or turns yellow, the roots are already gone. You look at the plant and think it needs more water. It looks droopy and sad after all. You give it more water, and that's the end of it. What makes this especially brutal is that it tends to kill the seedlings you care about most, the ones you check on twice a day, the ones you water just in case because the top of the soil looked a little dry, or because you were going to be out of the house tomorrow and didn't want them to suffer. Seedlings are tiny. Their root systems are fragile and still developing. They have almost no margin for error, and just in case watering is almost always at least a day too soon. There's also a container problem that makes this worse. If your seedlings are sitting in a tray with no drainage, any excess water just pools underneath and keeps the roots wet indefinitely. Even with drainage holes in the cells, a standing tray of water underneath undoes all of it. Tip it out after watering. Don't let them sit in it. The fix itself is not complicated. Wait until the top inch of soil is dry before you water again. Better yet, pick up the container. If it still feels heavy, there's moisture in there and you can leave it. If it feels light and the top inch is dry, then water. That combination is more reliable than any schedule. Bottom watering is even better for seedlings. Sit the tray in a shallow dish of water, let the soil absorb from below for about 20 minutes, then lift it out and let the excess drain. It puts the moisture exactly where the roots are growing, deeper in the mix, and trains them to reach down instead of sitting at the surface waiting for the next pour from above. It also keeps the very top of the soil drier, which discourages fungal problems and fungus gnats. In winter, scale back even more than you think you need to. Evaporation slows dramatically when temperatures drop and the heating comes on. The same watering routine that worked through summer will quietly rot your seedlings in January. The container lift test becomes especially useful in cold months. Trust what you feel in your hand, not what the calendar says. Now, light does matter, but there's a good chance you've been blaming it for problems that started in the soil, and that distinction actually matters a lot when it comes to fixing things. Leggy seedlings, long, pale, floppy stems reaching desperately upward, get blamed on poor light almost every time. And sometimes that's correct. But here's what almost nobody explains. A seedling with waterlogged, struggling roots can produce symptoms that look identical to a light problem. Growth slows. The stem goes pale and thin. The plant stretches. It looks exactly like something that needs more sun. Except the problem is underground, and moving it closer to the window won't help at all. The tell is what happens next. If you improve the light and nothing changes, or the plant continues to decline, go back and look at the soil and the watering schedule. 9 times out of 10, that's where the answer is. That said, seedlings are genuine light hogs, and a lot of indoor setups underestimate how much they actually need. We're talking 12 to 16 hours a day. A south-facing window in early spring, when days are still short and the sun angle is still low, very often doesn't cut it on its own, even if it feels bright to you when you're standing in the room. Your eyes adjust to ambient light far more generously than a seedling can. If you're starting seeds indoors early in the season, a basic grow light changes everything. Keep it close, closer than feels right, just short of actually touching the leaves. The rule of thumb: if you think it's close enough, move it a couple more centimeters down. A light that's too far away produces exactly the same stretching and leggy growth as not having one at all, because the seedlings are still reaching for intensity that isn't there. 12 hours on, 12 hours off is a good starting point. You don't need a complex timer setup. A cheap plug-in timer from a hardware store does the job fine. One last thing on light that's easy to miss: rotate your trays. Light comes from one direction, and seedlings follow it with impressive dedication. Give the trays a half turn every couple of days and they'll grow straight. Leave them in one position and you'll end up with a tray that looks like it's trying to crawl toward the window. Water and light get all the attention, and for good reason. But there are several other things that quietly take seedlings out, and knowing them means you're not caught off guard when everything looks right and something still goes wrong. Start with your soil mix. Most seed starting mixes are built to do one job: help seeds germinate. They're light, they drain well, and they're deliberately low in nutrients so they don't burn tender new roots. That's exactly right for the first week or two. But it becomes a problem fast. By the time seedlings reach 2 to 3 inches tall, they've used up whatever little nutrition was in the mix, and they're running on empty. Growth stalls. The leaves go a slightly yellowish shade, and it looks like something is wrong because something is. A diluted liquid fertilizer. Fish emulsion works well, or any balanced liquid feed, at roughly quarter strength once a week from that stage keeps them moving. Go gently. Seedlings are small and their root systems are still delicate. A full-strength dose meant for mature plants can burn them. A little often is the approach. Temperature is another one people get backwards. Heat mats are wonderful for germination. Seeds genuinely do germinate faster with bottom warmth, and the results are noticeably better. But once the seedlings have sprouted, the mat starts working against you. Too much heat causes the stem to elongate faster than the leaves can develop, which is a direct route to the leggy, top-heavy seedlings that can't support their own weight. Once you see green above the soil, get them off the mat. Normal room temperature, around 18 to 20 degrees, is perfectly good for most seedlings. Root space is something a lot of people don't think about until it's already a problem. A seedling left in a cell that's too small for too long becomes root-bound. The roots hit the walls of the container, spiral around the bottom because there's nowhere else to go, and essentially lock the plant in place. Growth stops, or crawls. The plant looks fine but isn't going anywhere. Check root development every week by gently lifting one seedling out of a cell. If roots are visibly circling the bottom or poking through the drainage holes, it's past time to pot up or transplant. Leaving it another week or two because the timing doesn't feel right will cost you more than the inconvenience of moving earlier. Air circulation is one that genuinely surprises people when they see the difference it makes. Stagnant air creates warm, moist conditions at soil level, exactly the environment where damping off takes hold. Damping off is a fungal disease that causes seedlings to collapse at the base of the stem, usually overnight. You go to check on a tray that looked fine yesterday, and half of them are lying flat. A small fan running for a few hours a day, not blasting them, just creating gentle movement, dramatically reduces the risk. It also has a secondary benefit that's worth knowing. Physical movement from air or handling causes seedlings to build thicker, stronger stem tissue as a response. The ones with air movement are noticeably sturdier when it comes time to transplant. The ones that grew in dead-still air often struggle with the shock of going outside. Finally, overcrowding. It's tempting to sow generously and then just let them all grow. But multiple seedlings packed into a single cell are competing with each other for everything: water, nutrients, light, and root space. None of them will do as well as one seedling with the full resources of that cell to itself. Thin early. Pick the strongest one and remove the rest, either by snipping them at the base with scissors or carefully teasing them apart. It feels like waste. It isn't. the seedling you keep will outperform 4 competing ones by a considerable margin. So here's what it really comes down to. Seedlings don't die because gardeners are careless. They die because gardeners care too much and aim that care at the wrong things. The checking, the watering, the hovering, it all comes from the right place. It just needs the right target. You now know where to aim it. What are you growing this season? Drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what people are starting right now, and I read more of them than you'd expect. Hit like and subscribe if this helped. It genuinely makes a difference to whether these videos reach people who need them. And the next video? The algorithm has apparently decided it knows what you want after watching this honestly. Based on what you just spent time on, it's probably right. It's right there.